Shouldn't we be wearing suits?
This isn't a formal occasion. I sure hope my friend Jack's okay in there.
What about your wife?
Her too.
Hey, congratulations on this upcoming project of Unbelievable.
Thank you.
So how were you brought on board onto a project like Unbelievable in the first place?
Well, they had been trying to reach me for a while. Just to fill you in on the backstory, I kind of left Hollywood in 2005 and took a really long extended break. And so it was during that time where I was away from Hollywood that they were trying to get a hold of me. And finally they did. And, you know, their goal was to get as many Star Trek actors as possible in one project. And I don't know if there is a Guinness Book of World Records record of this, but I think they probably hold it. I mean, this is literally jam-packed, filled with Star Trek actors. But they finally got a hold of me and said, listen, we've got a project, we've got a film that we're interested in having you be a part of, and, you know, take a look at this script. And, you know, to me, when I saw it, I initially thought, wow, this is very much Airplane. You know, it reminds me, it's very reminiscent of Airplane, the movie, which is, you know, a film that I enjoyed as a youth. And that sort of broad slapstick type of comedy is, you know, it's easy to watch. You don't have to sit there and think too much about it. And you're not having to debate life's quandaries. You know, you sit there and you just watch it, enjoy it, laugh, and move on with your life. So this is, you know, something that I think, especially at this time, dealing with the things that we are all dealing with now, we need more of this. I would say.
So what I mean for many people, like if you're stuck in a rut, like doing sci-fi for a huge part of your life, especially since you left Hollywood, was sci-fi a draw back into this project, into this business? Or was it the comedy?
More the comedy. Definitely more the comedy. I mean, I'm not against doing sci-fi. It's just, I think for me, I am by nature more of a comedic person. I prefer comedy over drama any day, but people don't know that. Hollywood tends to stereotype when it comes to any type of comedic project. You know, Hollywood tends to think, well, if you need to cast actors that are comedic, they have to be funny looking. You know, they've got to be odd. You know, it just seems like the more heavy set people are set for comedy, or someone who's extremely skinny, or someone who has an odd this or that about their face. But if you look more normal or more leading man, you tend to just be categorized as a dramatic actor and put into those roles. So you know, you don't see Brad Pitt doing a lot of comedy. You don't see Tom Cruise doing a lot of comedy, and it's sad because I think, you know, Brad Pitt is a really funny guy, and he doesn't really get that chance to do that. And you know, for me, anytime someone has a comedic script, that's what will perk my interest.
Isn't that almost sort of like a compliment to yourself that you're not being offered comedy just like Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise because you're a great looking guy just like them?
I guess, I don't know. I mean, it just, to me, in you asking that question sort of reminded me of a question that someone asked me the other day. They said, you know, who are your not idols, but who do you look up to actor-wise in Hollywood? And I said, honestly, I would place my vote for Viggo Mortensen. Viggo Mortensen is somebody who literally, he is a GQ model. You know, he really does have this exterior that's definitely attractive and handsome, whatever. But in reality, he is a very accomplished and talented actor that he shies away from the press. He doesn't really try to show everyone his, look at my bling. I mean, it's not about vanity for him. It really is about just doing the work. And that is what your question reminded me of. Sorry to segue into that, but that's just something that I had in my mind. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is a bit of a compliment if they're not offering me comedic stuff, but it kind of annoys me. I really wish Hollywood could see beyond just the labels and put actors into boxes like that.
So does comedy come naturally to you?
Yes, it does. But even on Star Trek on Voyager, you don't see a lot of that from my character. I'm definitely much more the straight man, on the show. But it does come much more naturally for me. Growing up, my ultimate goal was, I didn't really want to be an actor per se. I really wanted to be a cast member for Saturday Night Live. That was that sketch comedy. That's something that appeals to me, to be able to recreate characters that are completely different from who I am. It's a little shocking how long that show has been on. And now they just got an Asian guy on there. It's like, really? After 50 years, you finally, Lorne Michaels decides that Asians are funny 50 years later. It's to me, it's a little fishy. I'd love to interview him and say, like, why haven't you had an Asian person until now? It's like nuts. But yeah, that's always been my how I feel that I am. I'm more of a comedic person than dramatic, for sure.
So one of the styles that was always noted about comedy is about improv, because maybe people see you on Star Trek as a straight person, like a straight edge person, like you actually mentioned. But are you really more like an improv type of an actor, or you're like straight to the script type of an actor?
Well, interesting you should ask that. On Star Trek, we weren't allowed to improvise. It was all straight to the, if we wanted to change one word in the line that we're delivering, and sometimes I find that writers, when they write, they don't speak the dialogue out loud. So they sometimes will write something that ends up being a tongue twister. And so, when we're trying to deliver these lines, sometimes we'd have issues with it. And I'd call up to the office just to say, can I take the word "the"? This is an article, just THE. Can I pull this out of this line? And they would look and they would say, nah, keep it. Like they were such hardcore disciplinarians when it came to, they were so strict when it came to being stick to the script, no diversion. No, you cannot go one way or the other. You got to stay on point the entire time, which is unfortunate because I definitely prefer to ad lib or add something extra there. But improv is definitely something I love as well as straight comedy. I think improv is the spice of life.
So in the film Unbelievable, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like there's a lot of improv. Was there a lot of improv in there? What did you basically just bounced off jokes and ideas off of everybody else?
There was some improv. I think the majority of it was still, we stuck to the script, but there were definitely scenes in there where maybe, we were supposed to be fighting the aliens, and we were just running around and just doing whatever we wanted to. They let us do a little bit of stuff there, but for the most part, we still stuck to the script.
So what did you like about playing Dr. Charles Hunter? Who is he? What does he do, and how you want to approach Dr. Charles Hunter?
First and foremost, I just like the fact that I got to play a character named Dr. Charles Hunter instead of Dr. Charles Chan. It's just because, let's face it, in this world that we live in, there's a lot of Asians that were adopted from Asia that don't even have last names, right? That are Asian, that is, right? The last names are from the Caucasian families that adopted them. So it's kind of nice to be able to represent a character that's not so dead on and stereotypical, I suppose. Yeah, it's just, I'm one of the core members of the the flight crew, so including Tim Russ's character, and I'm totally blanking on Chase. Don't tell her I said that. And Tim Russ and what's her name? Chase Masterson, and myself. And we, it's fun to work with people that you've worked with before. That's just the bottom line. You kind of know their rhythm, you kind of know how they operate, and it was a nice reunion to be able to work with both of those people. Chase clearly did not work on Voyager with me, but I have worked with Chase on a few other independent projects that we have been on in the past. So there is that relationship there too, because when you have people that you are comfortable with, or I think your best work comes out of you at that point, because you're relaxed. A lot of times if you're working with somebody new, there could be a lot of posturing. There could be a lot of, what does this person think of me, or whatever, entering into your head. And these are the things that are basically distractions to performing well on camera.
In this film, there's over 40 alumni Star Trek actors, but you only named two. Those were the two main ones, or technically you actually meant more?
Yeah, I mean, we come across more of them. There's in terms of, for me, I also filmed with Connor Trenier from Enterprise, and then I think there was a scene with Crystal Allen, who played one of the Orion slave girls in Enterprise, where she plays kind of an Orion type character. She's green in this one too. So I had a scene with her. But a lot of the other appearances of other Trek actors are in their own. They're in scenes that are not the main crew, which include Tim, Chase, and myself. But it truly is a remarkable feat to get that many Trek actors under one project.
That's truly astonishing. You probably haven't seen something like this since like a Star Trek convention or something.
Yeah, you're right about that. This is sort of like going to the big Star Trek Las Vegas convention, which usually has 40, 50, 60 actors from Trek in there. So you're right, very much like that.
Now you mentioned that this film is sort of like a slapstick type of comedy. What was the best scene that you actually done, or what was the most challenging thing that you had to do on a film like this?
Wow. Well, I guess the most challenging thing is, we also have the inclusion. The other main cast member is a puppet, and this puppet looks remarkably similar to William Shatner's character from the original series. So it's very much homage to Captain Kirk. And probably the challenging thing is really acting with a puppet. It's like that nobody, like if you're in the theater department in university, or you're training or whatever, you don't really take any classes acting with puppets. That's not offered on the curriculum of any theater program in the nation. So I think that was probably the singular most challenging aspect of this is trying to act with a puppet and the puppeteer crew, that's there, because it's not just, this puppet's just not moving on its own. There's a couple, more than one person that are operating this puppet, and they're in close proximity to you. So there's a lot of maneuvering and figuring out, how are you going to block this scene? How are you going to walk and not step on the puppet, or bump into the puppeteering crew? There's a lot of things that you don't think about, or you've never prepared for as an actor, because this is not something that typically anybody really does. It's very rare to act with this situation.
Wow, would love to see that behind the scenes or blooper reel that could compile up with the puppets itself.
Right.
So there's an event that's actually coming up, which would be the red carpet premiere for Unbelievable, and I believe you are a participant of that. Could you talk more about the event and your participation into this event?
Yeah. So Stephen Fawcett, Angelique, Steve and Angelique are the producers. Steve directed. Angelique is the executive producer of this project. They approached me and said, "Listen, we're gonna have this red carpet premiere, and it's going to be the best way that we can describe it. It's going to be like a variety show. Like we're going to have all types of things. Like people are going to get a chance to watch the film. People are going to get a chance to go into private rooms to chat with, whichever actors they want to talk to. We're going to have live music. We're going to have, so it's almost like a carnival type atmosphere, step right up to this room. You can talk to Garrett Wang. Step right over here. Chase Masterson is in this room, so it's this really amalgamation of different elements going on, which is pretty cool. I mean, if you talk about virtual conventions that are being offered now, I've done one where it's just a standard Q&A, and you sit there and you talk to a host, and there are questions from the people watching, and then after you're done, and they send us some autographs to autograph, and that's it. But this one's much more detailed. There's much more time and effort put into this, and this is pretty much almost like an all-day event. This will be several hours, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll see how that goes.
You've been on the con circuit for quite some time. Doesn't this feel kind of odd to do virtual conventions? I mean, given the circumstances.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're definitely odd. I'm very much of a people person, so I'm used to people in front of me that I can actually interact with. So doing everything virtually is, I guess, the new norm. We have to get used to it, and it is necessary. Every event that I've had planned for 2020 has been postponed. The big Las Vegas Star Trek convention has been postponed to December of this year, which I highly doubt that's even going to happen, to be perfectly honest. There is a Star Trek cruise convention that I've done, that I did in the very beginning of this year, and it was literally one of the last cruises to go out before COVID shut down all cruises. They are not scheduled to come back until I think 2022 right now. I was talking to my dad the other day, and he said that I think the United Airlines CEO was talking about he did not see the flight load to return to normalcy until 2024. So I said, "Oh my gosh, that's like, I don't know. This sounds like there's going to be a lot of bankrupt airlines if 2024 is the actual day where everything goes back to normal." But really, nobody knows. At this point, nobody knows when you're going to have a real convention until a vaccine happens, until there's enough tests to test everybody in this country. I mean, that's how you solve it right there, right? If you have enough tests wherever you said, okay, this is testing day, we're testing every American, every single American, everybody gets tested today, and boom. And then they come back with a test. If you got it, you stay home. If you don't have it, you're free. That's it. Right. That'll stop it immediately, right? But we don't have the capacity to test everybody at once, unfortunately. Maybe in the future, but until we have that type of comprehensive testing or a vaccine, I don't think we're going to have anything but virtual conventions or virtual events. It's tough. I mean, for instance, the podcast that I started, a lot of the equipment that I was trying to get mail order was back ordered. It was backward because everyone was getting it. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I've got to do a Zoom call. I better get a ring light. I need a microphone." And everything was just back ordered. It's just, this is an amazing time for any company that makes any type of microphone, ring light, a green screen backdrop. They're making a mint because everyone's getting it now, right? They have to get it in order to look professional, right? And you can tell like when I watch a lot of NFL Network, and when I watch NFL Network, a lot of those, all those reporters that are at home, not half of them don't even have ring lights. I'm sitting here going, gosh, their audio is horrible. Their lighting is horrible. And this is being passed off as professional, right? That's all they got. So they got to go with what they have. So we're in such a strange time right now. So strange. But
Yeah,
I'm getting used to it.
you made a good point, because it took me 2 months in order to get my webcam
Yes.
ordered. Yeah, 2 months, and during those 2 months, I could not conduct any interviews whatsoever.
It's a webcam. It is a very, I mean, that webcam probably costs between it's somewhere between $50 to $200, right? It wasn't like you ordered some really like super high tech $4,000 webcam that's built by Swiss hobbits. I don't know. I mean, it's just like, what? Yeah, 60 days for you to get a webcam? But yes, that's what we're facing.
I know, and then they jacked up the prices at the same time. So.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, pre-COVID price $59.99, post-COVID price $159.99. It's like, oh, thanks.
So what about what excites you the most about meeting fans, whether it's in person or virtually?
I think because I've always, for me, I know growing up, I was such a huge fan of sci-fi. I was such a huge fan of a lot of what Hollywood put out. And I just know that if conventions were a big thing when I was growing up in the 70s, and I would have been going to every single one of them if I could have, right? And so for me, I feel like it's a way for me to kind of give back to everybody who follows me or supports me, to go to some of these in-person events.
Excellent. And I know you're a huge alumni member of the Star Trek family, and Star Trek somehow it's getting its legs back on television. Maybe it kind of stalled a bit on the movie side now, but it is, Picard's back. There's another Star Trek television shows back. They're introducing cartoons back. What is about Star Trek that just doesn't seem to never go away?
Wow. Probably because it was really the first sci-fi project to really take hold of the nation in a way, if that makes any sense. Of course, there's always been black and white sci-fi projects pre-Star Trek, but they were just so hokey, and I think, not to say that the original series can't be a hokey, that's some of what's so endearing about the original series episodes, because they are a little hokey, right? The visual effects, they're not that great, so, but it's really the first show to sort of tackle issues that society was dealing with in the 60s. So Gene Roddenberry, put out this sci-fi show, which in essence, it looks like a kid's show. People are thinking, oh, this is for kids. It's about space, aliens, spaceships. It's for kids. But then he secretly kind of dealt with that era's issues. So whether it was racism or gender inequality, or you name it, he would deal with that. And so every episode would have an underlying message. And I really think that sort of resonated with the audience. So when Star Trek was canceled, there was that huge letter writing campaign and said, what? No, we've got to bring it back. And so in a way, I always tell people that Star Trek is not television, it's must-watch television. Because if you think about every episode sort of giving you some type of blueprint to live better, to better humanity, then it is very important, that people watch. And then that new Star Trek is created to capture the minds and of the audience. And so, just like TOS, when TNG came out, same thing. All the Next Generation episodes and all the DS9 and all the Voyager episodes and the Enterprise episodes all have this sort of underlying meaning to sort of help people understand how to be better people. And I think that is what has kept it going for so long. That is why it's still so popular. It's still it has, compared to any other sci-fi franchise, it's been going longer than Star Wars. It's been doing longer than Battlestar Galactica, all these other shows. As much as I'm a fan of all sci-fi, Star Trek really is it's the meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? It's just not frilly, light entertainment. It is truly the meat and potatoes of science fiction. And the newer stuff, it's interesting. I think the newer stuff is not really really in tune or in line with what Roddenberry's original vision is. It looks pretty. Discovery looks pretty. So does Picard. It looks nice and pretty, but it doesn't have the same gravitas, I think, than what the original series and TNG and DS9 and Voyager and Enterprise had, which is unfortunate. And then, so then there are a lot of fans who are diehard Trek fans who are very upset with the newer series, where they're thinking, why are these being produced? This is not Gene's vision. So there are people who are upset. But for those people, they get to watch Orville, which is basically Seth MacFarlane's version of Star Trek. And it's very funny because if you watch Orville, I know that Seth MacFarlane sat there and he probably went to the Fox executives and he said, okay, I want to pitch you guys a sci-fi show. It's basically Family Guy meets Star Trek, so he was trying to, I think he sold the show telling these executives that it was going to be a lot of comedy, right? And so if you watch season 1, episode 1 of Orville, yeah, there's comedy. But every episode after that gets less comedy, more Star Trek. And so literally when you watch a more recent episode of Orville, the general feeling is, wow, this feels just like a TNG episode or a Voyager episode. It's very, very in line with what Gene would have wanted to produce. So that's why, when I hear people complaining about, the new Trek, I go, hey, there's a new Trek right now. It's called Orville. Go check that out. You'll be fine.
That's true. Well, let me wrap it up with one more thing.
Sure.
With you here. So after Unbelievable, are you back into retirement? What are you going to be doing now?
I'm kind of, I've opened myself up to looking for other opportunities in front of the camera. We'll see. I signed with a new manager recently, so we'll see if that can, pan out into something. But of course, the pandemic is pretty much everything has ground to a complete halt at this point, right? There's nothing really being produced. There's nothing really this. So we're on pause right now. But I would love to do something else in front of the camera sooner than later, for sure. But other than that, I'm focusing on getting my podcast, The Delta Flyers, done, and we've done 2 months worth of episodes already, and it's been a lot of fun doing that with Robbie McNeil, who plays my buddy on the show, Tom Paris on Voyager, and he and I are both part of this podcast right now.
Excellent. Hey, yeah. Garrett, I really appreciate you talking with me, especially Asian to Asian. That's usually a rarity in this type of business. So yeah. so I think this is great.
Well, yeah, when you popped onto the Zoom call, I'm like, oh, hello, my brother. So it is a little nice to be able to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Hopefully we get to do this again.
Yes, sir. All right. You be well.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks. See ya.